Welcome, dear friend, and thank you for choosing to rest here for a while in this quiet place we have made. This story was crafted to be a gentle companion for your mind, a soft path leading you towards the stillness and contentment that awaits just beyond the day's edge. Should you find comfort in our time together, a simple like, a subscription, or a kind comment helps our little sanctuary grow for others to find. Step into the world of the whispering fells tonight, a place of soft earth and ancient quiet. We will follow the gentle, glowing way-wisps along misted paths that promise not adventure but solace, allowing the profound peace of this magical place to guide you into a state of deep and wonderful rest. Chapter 1. The Threshold of Quiet. There are certain places in the world, one feels, that hold their breath, waiting to share their silence with those who need it most. The Whispering Fells was just such a place. For Rowan and Beck, arriving at its edge was like stepping across an unseen threshold, leaving one world for the profound peace of another. Behind them lay the familiar sounds of fields and farms, the distant call of a shepherd, and the gentle clatter of a cart. But here, at the beginning of the path, those sounds grew soft, then distant, until they were altogether absorbed by the soft, gray curtain of mist that stood as a silent, gentle guardian. The path itself was not of gravel or stone, but of dark, rich earth, packed firm by time yet yielding softly under their feet, making their footfalls a near silent whisper. The first tendrils of the Solace mist curled around their ankles, cool and welcoming, like a gentle caress. It was a most curious and wonderful thing, this mist. It was not the cold, damp vapor of a dreary morning, but something else entirely, a presence that felt both ancient and kind. It carried a clean, sweet scent of damp soil and the tiny bell-shaped flowers of heather, a perfume that seemed to wash the very air of any lingering worries. Rowan paused and reached out a hand, palm open, letting the fine gray vapor drift through their fingers. It felt like touching a cool silk scarf, impossibly soft and weightless. A small, serene smile touched their lips. They felt a tangible sense of relief, a gentle unburdening, as if a heavy cloak they hadn't known they were wearing had simply dissolved from their shoulders, its weight vanishing into the soft surrounding air. The mist was not obscuring the world, it seemed, but was instead revealing a different one, a world of softened edges and profound quiet. Beck, ever attuned to the sounds of a place, stood perfectly still, their head tilted slightly. "It's so quiet," they murmured, their voice itself a soft thing that the mist seemed to catch and cradle. "You can almost hear the quiet." And it was true. The silence here was not an emptiness. It was a positive presence, a deep and resonant stillness that filled the space between the gnarled, ancient trees that flanked the path. Their bark was carpeted in a thick, velvety moss, and their branches reached up into the gray softness, their highest leaves vanishing into the gentle obscurity. They began to walk, their pace unhurried, their movements falling into a slow, easy rhythm. The world became a small, intimate circle of soft greens, deep browns, and 1,000 shades of gentle gray. The path ahead was visible for only a few yards, a gentle invitation to focus only on the present step and the one after that. There was no vast, distracting vista, only the immediate beauty of a single dew-dusted fern frond or the intricate pattern of lichen on a low-hanging branch. It was a landscape that encouraged a gentle meditative focus. The air they breathed felt different here. It was cool and clean, and each inhalation felt like drinking from a fresh, clear spring, invigorating them and calming them all at once. Rowan noticed the way the mist collected in perfect tiny droplets on the deep purple of the heather blossoms, making them seem as though they were adorned with jewels. Beck pointed out how the mist softened the call of a hidden bird, turning its song into a muted, flute-like note that was hauntingly beautiful and deeply peaceful. They walked in a comfortable, easy silence for a long time, the shared experience weaving a quiet bond between them. There was no need for words to acknowledge the profound peace of the place. They both felt it in the slowing of their own heartbeats, in the deepening of their breath, in the gentle loosening of muscles they hadn't realized were tense. The fells were not demanding their attention, but simply offering their solace, and the two companions accepted the gift with quiet gratitude. As the path curved gently between two ancient moss-covered mounds of earth, the mist thickened slightly, their small circle of visibility shrinking further. A lesser person might have felt uneasy, but here it felt like a comforting embrace. The world was being simplified, reduced to its most gentle and essential elements. The soft path underfoot, the clean air in their lungs, the silent companionship beside them, and the kind, quiet mist all around. They had crossed the threshold, and the fells had welcomed them home. Chapter 2. The Guidance of Way-Wisps. As Rowan and Beck ventured deeper into the fells, the path became a little less distinct, the soft earth blending more seamlessly with the mossy banks on either side. It was here, as a quiet question of which way to turn began to form in their minds, that the fells offered its next gentle wonder. Beck, who was walking just ahead, stopped and pointed with a silent, gentle gesture. Floating in the mist just before them, at about the height of their chests, was a soft, silent mote of pale silver light. It was no larger than a thumb, and it glowed with a gentle internal luminescence, pulsing with a slow, steady rhythm like a sleeping heart. Another one appeared beside it, and then a third, and they began to drift quite lazily along one of the branching paths. They were Way-Wisps, a quiet miracle of the mist. They moved with an unhurried grace, their dance a silent invitation to follow. There was nothing startling or demanding about them. Their light was soft and cool, casting no harsh shadows, and their presence felt as natural and as calming as the mist from which they had been born. Rowan and Beck exchanged a look of quiet wonder and followed, their pace instinctively slowing to match the wisps' languid, drifting progress. The Way-Wisps guided them along the most peaceful of ways. The path they illuminated was always the softest, the air around it the sweetest. They bobbed and weaved gently around the gnarled roots of ancient hawthorn trees, their silvery light catching on the damp, velvety moss that grew upon them. It was Beck who first noticed the sound. "Rowan, listen," they whispered. "The moss. I think it's humming." Rowan stilled, listening with all their being, and there it was, a low choral hum, like a single sustained note sung by a distant choir, seemed to be emanating from the very moss itself. They knelt down beside a particularly large root, which was blanketed in a thick cushion of the deep green murmur moss. Beck gently placed a hand upon it. The moss felt wonderfully soft and cool, like dense velvet, and through their palm they could feel the gentle, steady vibration that created the sound. The hum traveled up their arm, comforting thrum that seemed to find a sympathetic resonance deep within their chest. It was a sound that spoke of deep, ancient contentment, the quiet song of the earth itself, happy in the mist. For a long while they simply stayed there, one kneeling to feel the moss, the other standing in quiet witness, both enveloped by the sound. The hum was a constant, soothing presence, a grounding frequency that seemed to gently untangle the last remaining knots of worldly thought. It was a sound that made thinking unnecessary. There was only the feeling of the vibration, the scent of the damp earth, the sight of the soft, silvery wisps waiting patiently just ahead, and the cool touch of the mist on their skin. When they finally rose to continue, they felt a deeper sense of tranquility than before. The world of the fells was not just a place to see, but a place to feel and to hear. Every element worked in a quiet, gentle harmony. The mist softened the light and the sound. The wisps offered gentle, silent guidance. The moss provided a constant, calming song. It was a perfect, self-contained ecosystem of peace, and they were privileged, welcome guests within it. The Way-Wisps led them onward, their silvery glow a constant, reassuring beacon in the soft gray. Sometimes one would drift back, circle them once in a slow, curious loop, and then rejoin its companions, as if to say, all is well this way. The trust they felt was absolute. These gentle lights were as much a part of the fells as the ancient trees and the soft earth, and their only purpose, it seemed, was to ensure that any who walked these paths felt safe, calm, and utterly at peace. Their gentle light was more than an illumination. It was a promise of solace. They walked on, their steps light, their hearts calm, surrounded by the gentle hum of the moss and guided by the silent silver dance of the wisps. The path ahead was always a gentle mystery, revealed to them only a few feet at a time, and they found a deep comfort in this. There was no need to worry about the destination for the journey itself. This slow and sensory walk was a perfect, peaceful end unto itself. Chapter 3. The Woven Shelter. The afternoon was beginning to draw its own soft gray curtains a little closer when the Way-Wisps led them to a most welcoming sight. Tucked into the gentle slope of a mossy hillock was a small shelter, its walls and domed roof woven from ancient, supple willow branches. The weaving was so old that the branches themselves had sprouted new leaves in places, making the shelter seem like a living, breathing part of the landscape. A low arched opening invited them in, and the wisps swirled once before this entrance, and then, one by one, dissolved back into the mist, their task, for the moment, complete. Rowan and Beck ducked inside, finding a space that was surprisingly dry and cozy. The floor was a thick, soft carpet of dry leaves from seasons past, and the air within was filled with their warm, earthy scent, mingled with the pleasant, woody fragrance of the willow itself. Through the intricate weave of the walls, the gray light of the fells filtered through, creating a soft, dappled pattern on the floor. It was a place made of peace, a perfect haven designed for quiet rest. The sounds of the outside world, already muted by the mist, were softened even further here, the hum of the murmur moss becoming a distant, sleepy drone. A profound sense of being safely cocooned from the world settled over them. Here, in this gentle, woven space, nothing could hurry them. They sat down on the soft leaf litter, their backs against the smooth, curved willow wall, which felt sturdy and comforting. Beck took a small tin flask from their pack and the soft scrape of the metal cap was a small, pleasant sound in the quiet. They poured a thin stream of warm, steaming liquid into 2 simple wooden cups. The sweet floral scent of elderflower tea rose to fill the shelter, a warm and comforting aroma that spoke of simple, gentle pleasures. They drank their tea in a comfortable silence, the warmth of the wooden cups seeping into their hands. The warmth from the tea spread through their chests, a lovely feeling that seemed to push away any lingering chill from the mist. Rowan took out a small parcel wrapped in cloth. Inside were 2 thick slices of soft, dark bread, studded with seeds. They ate slowly, savoring the nutty taste and the yielding texture of the bread, a simple meal that felt like a feast in this perfect, quiet place. Their conversation, when it came, was as soft as everything else in the fells. "The willow is so old," Rowan murmured, gently running a hand over the smooth, interwoven branches of the wall. "It feels like it grew this way on purpose, just to offer a place to rest." Beck nodded, sipping their tea. "It feels like the whole of the fells is looking after us. What a kind place this is." Their words were not analysis or discussion, but simple expressions of shared gratitude, quiet observations that deepened their appreciation for the profound gentleness of their surroundings. Outside, the mist thickened, pressing a little closer against the woven walls. The world beyond their small shelter seemed to dissolve completely, leaving only their warm, fragrant haven. There was only the scent of tea and leaves, the feeling of the smooth wood in their hands, the soft texture of the dry leaves beneath them, and the gentle, murmurous sound of their own quiet breathing. It was a moment of perfect, unadulterated contentment, simple and deep and true. They rested for a long while, the tea finished, but the warmth remaining. Beck's head eventually came to rest against the willow wall, their eyes closing gently. Rowan watched the slow, even rise and fall of their friend's breathing, a peaceful rhythm that mirrored the deep calm of the fells. They felt a wave of quiet affection and thankfulness for this shared journey, this silent understanding. There was no need to strive for peace here. One simply had to be still, and the peace would find you. As the light began to fade in earnest, Rowan felt a pleasant, gentle weight in their own limbs, a deep and welcome drowsiness. They settled more comfortably against the wall, the scent of the dry leaves a soothing perfume. The shelter held them, the mist held the shelter, and the fells held the mist. Everything was nested in layers of profound and gentle safety, and in that safe, quiet, woven space, they let themselves drift into a light, peaceful sleep, lulled by the silence and the solace of the misted paths. Chapter 4. The Stillwater Pools. After their restorative rest in the woven shelter, Rowan and Beck continued their journey, feeling refreshed and even more deeply attuned to the quiet rhythm of the fells. The Way-Wisps reappeared as they stepped back onto the path, their silvery light seeming a little softer, a little brighter in the gathering twilight. The path they were guided along now sloped gently downwards, and the clean scent of water joined the fragrance of mist and earth. Soon the path opened up to a series of shallow, perfectly still pools, laid out like pieces of dark, polished glass amongst the soft, mossy ground. The air here was utterly motionless. Not a single ripple disturbed the surfaces of the pools. They were so still that they reflected the soft, gray, misty sky above with perfect clarity, and it was hard to tell where the water ended and the air began. The effect was one of immense, profound tranquility. Rowan and Beck found a place to sit on a bank of murmur moss that was so thick and soft it felt like a purposefully placed cushion. From here, they could watch all of the pools at once, their surfaces a collection of silent gray mirrors. As they watched, the mist, which was a constant moving presence in the fells, began to drift out over the pools. When its fine, ethereal tendrils touched the water surface, something magical happened. The mist did not dissolve or create ripples. Instead, its touch caused slow, shifting patterns of a slightly lighter gray to bloom across the dark glass of the water. Ethereal, dreamlike shapes would form, swirl gently for a moment, and then slowly fade, only to be replaced by another. It was like watching a painter create a slow, endless masterpiece with smoke and shadows. The sight was endlessly fascinating and deeply, deeply calming. They watched a shape like a great slow-motion pinwheel form on the largest pool, its arms turning with an impossible grace before dissolving into a soft, uniform haze. On another, the mist drew long, feathery lines that looked like the fronds of some celestial fern. There was no sound at all, only the silent, mesmerizing dance of mist upon water. They sat in a comfortable, shared silence, their gazes soft, their minds quiet. This quiet observation had a profound effect. Any stray thoughts that had managed to linger in their minds seemed to be drawn out and laid to rest upon the still water, dissolving as gently as the mist patterns themselves. The endless silent shifting held their attention in a light, easy grasp, preventing the mind from wandering to past concerns or future plans. There was only the now, this beautiful unfolding moment of quiet artistry. Rowan felt their focus soften, their awareness expanding to simply take in the whole scene without judgment or analysis. Beck, who was so often attuned to sound, found a different kind of music here, a symphony of silence and motion. The slow cadence of the swirling patterns became a visual lullaby. They felt their own internal rhythm slowing to match it, their breathing becoming impossibly slow and deep, their heartbeat a quiet, steady drum in the background of a vast and peaceful silence. The soft, yielding texture of the mossy bank beneath them seemed to hold them securely, allowing them to relax completely. They sat there for what might have been minutes or might have been hours. In the whispering fells, time was a gentle, fluid thing, measured not by the ticking of a clock, but by the slow drift of mist. They were not waiting for anything to happen. They were simply being present for what was happening, and that was more than enough. The experience was a deep meditation, guided not by instruction, but by the inherent peace of the world around them. When the last of the light began to truly fade, and the Way-Wisps began to glow a little more brightly in the encroaching twilight, they finally stirred. They did not speak, but a shared look of profound contentment passed between them. Their minds felt as still and as clear as the pools before them. They rose slowly, feeling a sense of deep integration with the landscape, as if a part of the water's stillness and the mist's gentle grace had become a part of them. They left the Stillwater pools behind, carrying the memory of their silent, swirling dance deep within their quieted hearts. Chapter 5. The Heartwood of the Fells. The twilight in the fells was a soft and gentle thing, a slow deepening of the grays into soft lavenders and deep velvety blues. The Way-Wisps now clustered together, their combined silvery glow creating a brighter, yet still soft, lantern to light the final part of the path. They led Rowan and Beck up a final gentle incline, the air growing thick with a warm, ancient, and resinous scent, like the inside of a sun-warmed wooden box. The hum of the murmur moss was deeper here, more resonant, as if it were the very heartbeat of the hills. At the crest of the hill, they found the source of it all. Standing alone was a single immense yew tree so ancient that its trunk was a gnarled, sprawling landscape of its own. It was a benevolent giant, its vast, dark green branches drooping so low that their tips brushed against the soft, mossy earth, creating a great, quiet space within, like a living cathedral. The tree was the heart of the fells, the Heartwood, and it was from the rough, deeply grooved bark of this ancient being that the Solace mist seemed to emanate, pouring forth in slow, gentle, endless waves. The Way-Wisps guided them to a wide opening between two of the largest drooping branches, and then, with a final collective pulse of soft, silvery light, they dissolved completely, their long journey with the travelers now at its end. Rowan and Beck stepped inside the shelter of the branches. The world within was hushed and dim, a sacred space of profound peace. The deep choral hum of the moss was all around them now, a sound that seemed to originate from the very wood of the tree itself. The air was warm and smelled wonderfully of yew wood, damp earth, and millennia of quiet patience. They walked to the massive trunk, its circumference so great that 10 people holding hands could not have encircled it. The bark was a landscape of deep valleys and smooth ridges, incredibly soft to the touch due to a fine, almost invisible layer of moss. They sat down together, their backs resting against the solid, comforting presence of the ancient tree. And as they did, they felt it, a slow, gentle, steady pulse emanating from the wood, flowing into them. It was not a physical vibration, but a wave of pure, unconditional calm, a feeling of absolute safety and deep, abiding peace. All the tranquility they had gathered on their journey, from the first touch of the mist, to the hum of the moss, to the stillness of the pools, was focused and magnified here in this ancient living sanctuary. There were no thoughts left to quieten, no tensions left to release. There was only a state of complete and utter restoration. Rowan closed their eyes, leaning their head back against the bark, feeling the slow pulse of the tree sync with their own peaceful heartbeat. They felt rooted, connected, a small part of this immense and gentle life. Beck listened, not with their ears, but with their whole being, to the deep, silent song of the Heartwood. The humming of the moss was the outward expression of this much deeper, silent music. They felt a sense of homecoming, of having arrived at a place their spirit had always known. The gentle weight of a perfect peace settled in their limbs, and their breath was a soft, quiet sigh in the still air. Here, held in the embrace of the most ancient of living things, they were utterly content. They sat in the dim, warm, fragrant quiet for a long time, held and healed by the ancient tree. The journey was complete. Its purpose had not been to arrive at this place, but to become ready for it. Each step on the misted path, each gentle wonder had been a preparation for this final, profound immersion in tranquility. With their backs against the massive trunk and their hearts full of quiet, they felt a gentle, irresistible drowsiness come over them. It was the call to a deep and dreamless sleep, a final gift from the fells. And in the safe, quiet, pulsing heart of the ancient wood, they let go, drifting into a rest more peaceful and restorative than any they had ever known.